Hey guys, what is up? It is I, James Penrose, back again for my next video, and welcome to another Simpsons episode review. Just like in the last one, as you can tell from the title, it's going to be from season 10 and is entitled Viva, Ned Flanders. This episode aired January 10th of 1999, and this episode is focused on Ned Flanders, a character who, let's be honest, up until this point, has done everything by the book and really has just been nothing but borderline perfect. I mean, no one's perfect, but Ned Flanders has tried to live the perfect life his whole life. He's been a phenomenal guy. But the one thing he's not done is have a day where he's gone, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to live life to the fullest and I'm just going to have a mental time. He's never done that until now, until this episode. And how it comes about is where the Monty Burns casino ends up getting imploded. If you remember that episode where it gets launched, that's another banger of an episode. It gets imploded, it all goes up in smithereens. A guy ends up getting fucking yeeted out of Springfield into the air. That was hilarious. And Homer and the family get in the car. They're trying to drive away from the smoke and the fumes, only to drive back into it and run over someone. I mean, that's just a lovely, great start. So then after that, they have to get the car washed because the car is completely covered in dust. They can't see a thing. Homer goes to pay for the car wash, only to realise it costs him a tenner. And Homer's like, what the fuck? Like, it's costing me a tenner. What's all that about? Ned Flanders comes in, and it costs him half price. And Homer again is like, well, what? He gets half price? What's all that about? And the squeaky voiced teen is like, well, he's a senior citizen. He's allowed half price. And Homer is not buying it at all. He's like, him, Flanders, senior citizen. Well, just see about that. And Homer's like, well, what better place to call him out as a liar than in church, in Ned Flanders' second home, essentially, where the whole of Springfield can see it. So Homer then starts interrogating Ned, and he's like, well, did you or did you not use the senior citizen discount card at that car wash? And Ned's like, well, yeah, I did. And Homer's like, well, it turns out that a senior citizen has got to be over 55. And you are how old? And that's when Ned Flanders reveals to everyone that, well, I'm 60. I'm 60 years old. And everyone is like, what? Everyone cannot believe it. They're gobsmacked. And at first they're like, well, you're 60 years old and you look beautiful. You look awesome. You know, you take care of yourself and all that. But what have you been doing all this time? You've not lived a day in your life. You've never got in trouble. You know, you don't smoke or drink or do anything like that. You've not lived one day in your life. And Ned is like, yeah, well, I haven't. And at first he's kind of okay with that. But then it slowly starts to sink in that, well, actually, yeah, I've kind of wasted my life. You know, he's in the car with Maud and they're talking about, they're trying to tell him, you know, it's okay, you know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But Ned is like, what the hell, man? Everyone's living it up except me. You have a funny spot where Grandpa Simpson's in the car with Jasper and he's got a bunch of girls then with him, and Ned's like, oh, look at that, everyone's living it up except me, except he wasn't living it up. He was you know, a gun was pulled to him and yeah, he was on the verge of death. So yeah, so Ned's like, you know what, I need to find out how I can let go, how I can have a good time. And sure enough, he ends up going to the one person who knows how to do that big time, knows how to live life and not give a toss about the consequences, and that's Homer Simpson. Homer's on top of his roof, you know, cooking meat, you know, cooking chicken or turkey, whatever the hell it was, on top of his roof. And Ned's like, well, you know what, I can't believe I'm saying this, but, you know, I want you to teach me how to have fun, how to let go. And Homer's like, oh, well, now you want my help. Well, now you want my help of all people. And Homer's like, well, fine, screw it. And he ends up falling off his roof and doesn't get hurt for whatever. I don't know how that's possible. So Homer ends up drawing out a contract for Ned Flanders. Basically, you know, Homer is basically saying, well, now I'm in control of you, basically, you know. And Lisa's like, really? You're going to give my dad power of attorney? And Ned at first is like, whoa, I cannot do that. And Ned eventually realises it's pretty much the only way to find out how I'm going to, you know, have a day where I can have fun and don't worry about the consequences, essentially. So he signs the contract, and Homer is then scaring him off. He's like, well, one day I may come for you. It could be in the middle of the night. It could be when you least expect it. Oh, whenever it's good for you. I don't give a shit. You know, Homer playing those mind games. So they're in the car. Ned's being his nice old self. He's got pen and paper. He's like, okay, I'm ready to learn. And Homer's like, just give me that. Yanks it out of the car. And Homer's like, well, that's your problem. Instead of thinking here, you need to think here, in the impulse zone. And Homer comes up with this brilliant plan. You know, if we're gonna live it up, there's only one place to go, and that's Las Vegas, which is actually back in that direction. And because they were about to run into the Monty Burns casino that got demolished, he reverses it and realizes Las Vegas is in that direction, and reverses again and nearly runs over someone again. Brilliant. So they get to the part where they finally get to Las Vegas. The lights are on bright. It's a massive city. It's Ned's first time, and it's safe to say Ned Flanders is shitting bricks. He's having a panic attack in the car. He wants to escape. He does escape, but then get face to face with someone, you know, handing out flyers for a play or whatever the hell, and Homer again runs her over. Like, I swear that's at least twice Homer's run someone over in this episode. Like, honestly, like, talk about careless. And then you hit the part where they end up going to Nero's palace, which is obviously a replica, a rip-off of the Caesar's palace in Las Vegas. And who's there but none other than the Daredevil, Lance Murdoch. If you remember him, a recurring character who I believe was from Season 2, Bart the Daredevil, where Bart wants to be a daredevil and looked up to Lance Murdoch. So that's a nice throwback, giving characters from the past another spot in future episodes. I love that. And he's doing his stunt where he's on top of this massive ramp and he's going through some fire and some ice and has to get over all of that and over someone without getting hurt, which you know obviously is going to go tits up. And Homer's like, fine, I'll do it. I'll be the guy to lay down and risk my life. And Lance Murdoch, you know, he's trying to go over the rules. Homer doesn't listen, of course. Lance Murdoch is also doing this while having a safe, you know, completely locked onto his head so he can't see a thing. So he goes through the ring of fire and ice, over the dog stick. He then cracks open the safe and Homer is like, hey Ned, look at me. And Lance is like, get down. And Lance Murdoch eventually ends up crippling himself and is unconscious and all that. The announcer's trying to say, he's alright, yeah. He's not, he's on the verge of death. And Homer he's literally almost died, but he's like, okay, I've nearly died, but you know what, let's hit the tables. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. A guy who will do anything and not give a shit about, you know, what could lead to it. Just not care. And Ned is actually like, you know what, I was scared to death for you, but to be honest, a kind of little bit of me wanted to see you get beaten to a pulp, wanted to see you die. And Homer's like, oh, someone's got the first taste of bloodlust. And Homer, that's basically Homer saying, you know what, that's progress, that's good, you're on the right path. So, yeah, I guess that's step number 1. Step number 2, gambling. Ends up going to the table, the roulette wheel, and once again, Ned Flanders doesn't really want to do it. He's uncomfortable, and he's praying to the Lord, what should I do? And an announcer's going into the microphone, keep gambling. And lo and behold, he does that. He ends up actually winning before that. He actually ends up winning with lucky number 7. And then Homer's like, oh, you know what? Watch and learn. Puts bare money on the table and loses it. But once again, he's like, nah, I don't give a shit. All right, let's get pissed now. So in the space of how long, he's nearly died and lost bare money. But once again, just moves on like nothing's happened. So now he's on the table with Ned. He's ordering drinks. And Ned he's unsure of what to have. And then he goes on to say, you know what? What the heck? Give me a white wine spritzer. Hashtag famous last words right there. Because that's the last you see him of that night. You then forward into the next morning. The next thing you see is the room that they're staying at is completely fucked up. Completely trashed. You know, and you just see Ned and Homer passed out in the hot tub. Ned wakes up. He's trying to wake Homer up. And Ned's like, wait, hold on a minute. So my mouth tastes like vomit, I'm hungover, I've got a headache, and I can't remember a thing. I've done it, you know, I've lived life. And he's like, I owe it all to the Homer Simpson program. And just as Ned's about to hug Homer, some woman comes in and is like, well, it's about time you two woke up. And she comes in and they don't know who the hell she is. And she's like, oh, well, who am I? I'm Mrs. Ned Flanders. And she's got the ring on. Homer's laughing at him. And, well, I won't laugh too soon, Homer, because then another woman comes in and goes, I'm Mrs. Homer Simpson. And, yeah, turns out Homer and Ned, while they were absolutely smashed, completely fucked up on alcohol, ended up marrying these two, you know, and obviously they don't remember it. They don't buy it at first. They're like, well, we would remember if we got married. We would know that. And it turns out the whole thing was recorded on tape. And Homer and Ned are like, oh, what the hell have we done? How are we going to get out of this one? So you then go to the part where, you know, in the canteen, they're about to have breakfast and whatever. And Homer's like, well, first we got some bad news. The waffle bar is closed, I'm sorry. And Ned's like, oh, well, cut the act, Homer. The bad news is we've already got wives. That's what they're trying to explain. They're already married. And they're like, well, you can't be in love with them if you married us, you know, right? And we're not giving you out without a fight. And that's where they're like, it's going to take a lot to get us out of this mess. So Ned's, you know, as Homer's getting them omelets, Ned is shitting himself once again. He's like, what the hell are we going to do? There's Maud, and then there's Maud, you know? And Ned is like, well, come on, do something. This is all your fault, you and your stupid program. Homer initially is like, oh, 2 wives, that could actually be good. And then Homer then goes to Ned, well, don't talk shit about the program. You know, they're face to face, they're about to go at it. And Ned eventually is like, well, how are we going to get out of this mess in an honourable and decent, and then sees Homer leg it for the Bucks, and then Ned's trying to go after him, and then that's when the wives all of a sudden spot them trying to do a runner, and that's when they're like, no, we're not giving you up. They go chase them, and I love this scene as well. The chase is going on in the freaking arcade, in the freaking gambling room, and the song is playing, Viva Las Vegas by Elvis Presley. That is perfect song choice for the chase scene. It's awesome, you know. And it finally gets to the part where they catch him again, and the announcer's going, we've got 2 runaways, stop them. And everyone in their mama is trying to stop Ned Flanders. There's a freaking lion. There's Drederick Tatum, the heavyweight champion of the world, who fought Homer Simpson a while back. You've got the Muddy Blues. You've got everyone trying to stop them. And Homer ends up spotting a car just around the corner, and Homer's like, well, boom, our ticket to freedom. He ends up getting in the car with Ned, revs the engine, and as he's saying, so long, suckers, that's when everyone has the time to end up beating the shit out of Homer in there. They beat him to a bloody pulp. Literally, he didn't even get time to say, so long, suckers. He goes, so long, beat the shit out of him, and now that's when they're doing, basically. And then at the very end, Drederick Tatum's got them both up in the air, throws them down, kicks them out of Las Vegas, and honestly, man, the 2 wives go, don't you ever step foot in Las Vegas again, or ever try to marry us again, because we found some guys who know how to treat a woman. And Homer's like, but Ember, I can change. And Ned's like, will you shut the fuck up? Well, he didn't say shut the fuck up, but he's like, will you shut up? And that's how it ends right there, with them getting attacked by a bunch of vultures on the way back, after they're trying to come up with a story how to explain to Maud and to Marge how, you know, all this ended up unfolding. How did this all... They're trying to find a way out of the shitter, basically, but some vultures come in, and Homer's like, oh, hello, nice birdies, and then they just get completely destroyed by the birdies, and that's how it ends right there. So, basically, Ned Flanders, he had his moment, you know, he finally had a day where he let go, he had fun, but at what price? He ended up getting, you know, beat the shit out of, and attacked by vultures on the way out. So, lovely. But this episode was an absolute trip. It was an absolute banger for season 10. You know, I've episodes, you know, back to back I've done on season 10, you know, in the last video and this video, because season 10 for me, again, is one of my favourites, and this episode is an absolute banger. So, other than that, guys, you leave your thoughts and comments down below. Tell me what you thought of this episode, if there's anything I missed, any other funny moments you liked, or anything missing that I didn't say. Put in the comments down below, tell me what you thought. So, other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe to my channel. My cat's going out mental outside. It's probably time for feeding. So, other than that, guys, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And all I can say is, peace out, my brothers!